Oh, close enough. Hey, chat. Can you see me? There we go. Software's fighting me, chat. Is it ever any different? Welcome to another Real Good stream. If you haven't been here on a Thursday before, every Thursday we run Real Good streams. Sometimes it's just team members. We play games. We answer your questions. But today, as with all of the best streams we've ever had, we have a special guest that we're going to be talking to. It should be some fascinating conversation. If you have questions for the guest or for us, we will still be watching and we will still answer them if we have a good answer for you. But this should be a very, very interesting discussion. And I should have checked before we went live, but I'm going to attempt to pronounce your name. And I'm sure it will be wrong, but that's okay. You'll have an opportunity to tell me how wrong I am. Today we're going to be talking to Evren Yigit, who is
Yay!
who is
you nailed it.
Oh, then I'm better than I even thought I was. But Evren is the Chief Content Officer for Mako Kids, which is a kids media company that develops content that is beneficial for kids and like educational, and she'll talk more about that. But we're very lucky to have Evren here. She's over 15 years of experience in the industry, developing content, creative writing, has worked on like film productions and has done a lot of interesting things, and has a lot of interesting perspective to offer. And as usual, when we do these interviews today, I will be here and I will be entertaining you with some Subnautica. But the interview will be led by Dr. Evren from Real Good AI, and Dr. Mandy is also here from Real Good. I'm sure by now, if you've seen any of these streams, you remember both of them. But welcome, Evren. Thank you so much for your time. I'm confident this is going to be a little different than any interview you've ever done before for other media outlets or whatever, but hopefully you enjoy having the game on in the background. I know the chat will, but this should be a great conversation. And just thanks for being here. It's fantastic to have access to your knowledge and experience and be able to ask you questions. So welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, it's a very different experience, but I also love playing games. I also love writing them. So like, it's joyful experience to be here. Thank you for inviting everybody. Thank you.
Well, what sort of games do you like to play?
I play a lot of different things because the thing is, I'm a children's content expert and I have to try before I write. So I have I tried almost everything in terms of early childhood.
Early childhood games.
Sorry.
Well, I swear I learned so much from early childhood games from our childhood. Like my favorite was Zoombinis. I don't know if you've heard of that one. That one teaches you logic and stuff. And the Reading Rabbit ones were really popular too. I'm not sure if those were universal.
I was a Mario fan. It's a very nostalgic time for me. And we're talking about Mario with my daughter right now. And I would have never thought I would, talk about it with a 6-year-old when I was a kind of 9-year-old myself, and playing the game and enjoying it.
Right.
Yeah, my kids love Prodigy game. It's like through their school, and they have these adventures, and each time you reach a level, you want to fight someone, there's a math question, and it depends on your grade. And my kids became very quick in math because they wanted to evolve in the game. So
right, learning design like that and play-based learning actually works a lot, and we also use it a lot, and we love it as children content experts.
yeah.
And it's really enjoyable. And the more we see play-based learning, the more we see its effects on children, and it's long-lasting, really.
Speaking about children,
Yeah.
so I wanted to start by asking you about you and your
Background.
and Mako, your company, Mako Kids, approach about this, what you call the psycho-socio-technical approach to AI and children. So
Exactly.
can you develop a little bit about that, please?
Sure. I am an author. I'm a children's content expert and founder and CEO of Mako Kids. We are a child-centered media and learning company based in Turkey. So hello from Istanbul, and working internationally across children's media, education, AI literacy, advocacy, public interest communication, and social behavioral change campaigns. So for nearly 2 decades, I've been working on creating meaningful systems for children. Creativity, emotional development, inclusion, and positive social change are part of my everyday life. And I enjoy bringing together different perspectives and translating different children's media studies and children's developmental research into where they don't exist. So my psychosocial technical approach to AI and children is part of that, actually, because most conversations about AI still focused mostly on the technology, like how powerful is the model, sort of thing, and also social side of things, and even laws and regulations and so on. But a child usually doesn't say, "Today I interacted with a large language model," which maybe
They're
they
not
could,
aware.
but yeah. But like a child usually says, "Oh, it talked to me, it remembered me, it helped me, like it understands me." And that changes everything. That's why I use the term psychosocial technical, and I developed a framework about it. And AI is simultaneously a technical system, a psychological experience, and a social environment for these kids. And all these three layers actually shape development. And for example, even here, like when YouTube changed the recommendation systems, it didn't only change media consumption, it changed attention spans. It changed how we look at things. Like we wouldn't be able to think about this thing even existing, you know, like maybe 20 years ago. Like people would play games and talk at the same time, and then people would watch the games being played. And it changed also play culture. That's how it happened. And it changed identity formation and social belonging. Now, what we are living through with conversational AI, it goes even deeper than that, and it goes even further than that. And now it doesn't only recommend content, it responds to the child directly. And children are kind of developmentally wired to respond socially.
I
So
see.
a very simple but powerful example would be my child, Ece. She always asks me, "Is this real, mom?" And she's interacting with something AI generated. And that's how I actually ended up with writing a children's book about AI literacy.
Mhm.
and uh, and she gave the title, "Is this real, mom?" Because it's like the what we need to do at this point is to understand that they're affected psychologically, they're affected socially, and they are also using something technically. So, and they're
So,
all combined
okay.
together.
So let me back up a little bit. So your involvement with like children content came before AI because AI is very
Yeah.
recent, right?
Yeah.
So, simple question: before AI, were things for the children development, and if like what did we do for like the educational part and the development part for educating and entertaining kids, and what dramatically changed with AI? Like what is this shift, and how did we respond to that in general? Can
I
you
have
take
to
us through
tell
that?
you the story of how I ended up doing a lot of AI literacy and
Mhm.
advocacy and even creating products that use AI. It goes back way back to like 6 years ago.
Mhm.
I created a show called Tail Robots, A Iris, and the main character was an AI, and which was very good at machine learning, and which had a very good large language model component. And there was no chat GPT at that time. There was only GPT-3. And I was following, like what was going on, and like, and I was really excited. I was seeing it coming, and I was really excited what would happen, when it came. And at that time, we went to OpenAI and we said, we have this project. Would you be interested? Would GPT-3 write some of its parts? You know, like would we pitch it to broadcasters? You know, because the children will need it. You know, and
What was your game again? What was the game about?
it's not a game. It's a
Oh,
cartoon. It's a
oh,
cartoon.
it's a show. Okay,
It's
so
a show,
what was it
animated
about?
show.
Explaining what is the AI?
It was the main character was an AI and that was working inside a recycling facility to come up with products, but was also very good with language, and it created its own tone because of
Okay.
that, of human stories. Like, for example, there's Alice through the looking glass, but she takes everything, you know, literally. So there's a glass around Alice, you know, within the recycling facility, she creates these robots and stuff like that. So, and like OpenAI at that time really loved the project and thought it would be a very good take on AI literacy, you know, as well, to introduce kids to AI, what is AI, what it does, you know. And we went to Disney, we went to Nickelodeon, we went to a lot of places and pitched the project and realized at that time that the kids people weren't into tech and the tech people weren't into kids. And what was happening was like they weren't getting ready. Nobody was getting ready for kids, actually. And what happened after that was, okay, we said we need to do some advocacy, we need to do some preparation, because whenever ChatGPT would be in our lives, you know, everything would change. And then 2 years later, ChatGPT came, and yes, our lives changed a lot, and it's still changing. And we also at that time, you know, created a lot of AI literacy, you know, shows and products, and did a lot of advocacy. We'll still do a lot of advocacy, and yes, everything changed. Think of it like that. Before, everybody used to ask me how much screen time for a kid would be enough, like, or would be too much, like for a 2-year-old, for a 4-year-old. Now we have gone from screens to systems, and the systems respond back this time. And it's not just the content moderation anymore, because there's a lot of children's media studies. If you do your job well, if you study children's media, if you study children's development, you can make really good, beneficial children's media product, you know? Like very good beneficial children's media products can be done. We see a lot of, you know, examples within the world.
But this is no AI or LLMs. This is just shows for
no,
kids, educational shows for kids. Okay.
Exactly. Not just educational, but what I call quality content. You know, like for example, Danielle Tiger's Neighborhood, like in US
Yeah,
setting.
love that one.
Yeah, it's a very good quality content, because it checks all the marks for what a quality content should do. You know, like it's developmentally appropriate. It's not even, you know, like it's not, the pace even is not very, very, you know, fast, so that the child gets, you know, like
Overwhelmed with something.
yeah. So and we knew all these things, and we were adapting them to our shows, and we were getting really good results with our shows, and we are still getting good results with our shows.
How do you see the results? How do you measure the results?
With a lot of things you can do. For example, we have a long-term agreement with UNICEF at Mako Kids, and we design a lot of different social behavioral change campaign and videos and stuff like that. But we also designed an early childhood intervention project called Kozalak Preschool. It's an animated show, 39 episode series, which is taking place inside a preschool, a totally sustainable preschool we created, you know, out of cartoon. And there also, one of the main characters is a child who only sees 5%. And so in order to create the show, first we ask children a lot of things. For example, how do you think this character should look like? What should it wear? What should he wear? What should she, you know, like about this? You know, like how, and we even consulted the Parallelotyp Blind Children Association for the kid who doesn't see well, and asked about inclusivity, like how would you go inside the preschool and introduce yourself? How would you introduce your stick? What would you talk about? Like those things. And then we did the first pilot, and we created a focus group with them. And they were like in a cinema saloon and watching it and giving us feedback. We had looked at many things, many metrics, but also the goals of the episode, like were they
Where
able
did
to
they extract
understand?
it from? Yeah.
Yeah, were they able to understand the message? Can we make it better? Like, was it good enough? Like we created all of these together with children's development experts. I'm a children's media expert myself. I've been trained on this for a long time and applying it for a long time as well.
So what you're describing is basically the long process validated by long years, decades of children content knowledge that we accumulated throughout our childhood programs, children programs,
Exactly.
and then tested it and had feedback from kids and developed these things.
Yeah.
Now we have AI in the mix.
Yes.
And LLMs and AIs. The simple question is like, are we doing the same thing as we used to do to develop these programs with the AI in it? Like, are we having the same standards? Are we having the same rigor that we used to do for kids? Are we applying them to the LLMs and AI products that are dedicated or targeted to kids, targeting kids?
Yes, but it's not as easy as it sounds.
How?
Because, well, first of all, children are not little adults, and when we use these LLMs, we are actually using things that are created for adults. Okay? And children are not little adults. You cannot just create some sort of a guardrailed version of the LLM and make it good for the child. It doesn't work that way. We need
It
to
doesn't
create
work that way
LLMs.
for adults either, for the record.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was going
I'm
to
with
That's
say,
you.
another
yeah.
story. Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, but but for children, it's even worse.
Yeah,
Because
that's
it's
true.
not just manipulative anymore. It's harmful, and also we saw a lot of those harms actually within the last 2 years, and also some ended up very badly, as you already know. But with children, we need to be really, really careful about, because children are wired to anthropomorphize. And what happens
Can you
when they
explain
do
what is anthropomorphism? Can you explain that?
attributing human qualities into non-human things?
So even more than adults, kids are prone to talk
Yes.
to an LLM and then treat it like, oh well, this is my friend,
Yes,
ChatGPT
exactly.
or whatever, because they can't
Exactly.
understand it to the same extent that it's not a
Yes,
person,
and
it's
they
not
are
real.
emotionally very vulnerable. And we were talking about the psychosocial technical thinking that I was telling you. I think the question that we ask is, what kind of relationships, or what kind of relationships patterns are we designing when we are designing for the AI age for kids? So this is very, very important, because all the learning is relational. Whenever we like something, we actually develop a relationship with it. It can be a subject that we like. It can be something that we are passionate about. It can be a teacher that we really love. That's why we like the,
That's true.
content
That's
that.
true.
And with AI, we are also developing relationships, and we are prone to taking the information from it that way. Like, as children, they do it more. Today is something like, let me read it. I wrote it somewhere. It's the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. So, like, even for and happy World Day for Cultural Diversity and Dialogue for Development. Then, you know the data that is used to train those LLMs. It's something called weird. It's like Western, industrialized, educational, And this data is actually is not very, very,
Diverse.
culturally, yes, not diverse. And also, for example, an Indian child who talks to, let's say, ChatGPT and asks what a biryani is, usually gets the answer, biryani is an exotic dish,
What is very
which is not an exotic dish
It's
for an Indian child.
rice, right?
Rice. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a rice dish.
Exactly, but it's not exotic for an Indian
Right.
child. It's just
That would be
what
like if an
grandma-
American Googled it and it was like, oh, sausage gravy and sausage gravy and biscuits is a very exotic dish. It's a very unique, it's like
Exactly.
interesting.
Exactly. So like what we are saying when like a lot of world's cultures are not really as data there. Like they have made a lot of research.
biases
Yes,
towards like the
yes.
Westerns.
Yes, and it's not
civilization
just the
there.
bias itself, it's also the way it speaks and then it formulates and then it creates learning environments for these kids and it's making them estranged to their own cultures. That's also because we are at a point in the time that first time in history children are asking something that holds information more than themselves or more than their parents, and it's not even their parents, not their teachers, something that doesn't have emotions and that doesn't really empathize.
So okay, so the several questions here. What are, so I'm guessing for Mako Kids, for example, they are adapting their program to the diversity. For example,
Yeah.
how do you do that? How do you include diversity in the programs? Or not even talking about AI, but like I want to know like does it mean like there are like shows for each like culture, or like more like a global multicultural programs, or like what are the steps that you use for that?
Quality content criteria says, culturally relevant stuff are also good for kids because they see positive representations of themselves on TV. Okay. And if it's a positive representation, obviously. And it's good to understand your culture, understand the place that you are inside your culture, and there are a lot of ways and tactics we could do actually to promote those. But there's also a global culture. It's not just local culture. There's also global culture. For
Yeah, you
example,
were talking about the vision impaired people that could be throughout culture, or like some
yes. And
yeah,
not just those, like when we are talking about kindness, for example, we are talking about almost the same thing in every culture around the world.
universal values.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's part of the global culture as well. So you need to come up with a mix that has, like various parts of these things. And then when you kind of globalize, it also becomes actually very interesting for other cultural kids, because then they get to understand, think that there are a lot of different type of movies, children's series like that. You watch and you understand a lot about other cultures, and it's a very good experience to do that. One of the most well-known shows of Mako Kids is called Fafa and Friends. We created for a Qatari channel called Barayam. It's part of Bain Neo, and it's one of the most well-known and well-loved preschool shows within the MENA region, usually in top 10. And we are creating the second season right now with a lot of play-based learning, but we also give a lot of cultural diversity and cultural representation in it. We create, like their important days, although the main characters are animals and they live in an island or an archipelago. Like we do talk about their religious holidays, because usually what we don't see is, their religious holidays that represented, because almost all the time they're watching other types of cartoons that are produced in the West, and they don't.
Christmas, like
Yes, for
Christmas and Thanksgiving,
Sure.
that like other culture
Sure.
don't celebrate. Or yeah, that's true. That's true.
And we have also created something called Ramadan rhymes, for example, in order to not teach but introduce Ramadan concepts to world children. And we took a lot of sounds from all of the MENA region, and that are very, very nice songs in terms of melodies, and we rewrote the lyrics to introduce just the concepts, and we put it out there on YouTube. Like we do a lot of different cultural diversity and representation because we think the global dialogue is possible by knowing each other, by respecting each other, by talking about things and understanding each other.
So I'm curious how that interplays with everyone speaking different languages. Obviously, we're speaking English right now. Is there how does that challenge play into this global conversation?
I think when I was little, we were taught about something called Esperanza, and it was something like a global language imagined by people so that everybody would learn it. And now English turned into this Esperanza, actually. And because whenever we go to a summit, we go to a big, conference, wherever it is, even if it's in France, like the one we got to meet each other in, like everybody speaks English, which is good. I think like there's some sort of a unity that we could understand each other and so on. But we also shouldn't lose, what belongs to world cultures and indigenous languages and so on. I've seen some very interesting video just this week on LinkedIn. A guy, I cannot remember the language, I'm sorry, but like he taught his AI the full language that he knows, and he was the only one speaking that language left. So he's able to speak it right now. And that gave me goosebumps because, like every time a language fades, then what happens is the cultural knowledge, the nature literacy, the interaction of everything with everything is lost as well. So, and I think it's a good way to preserve languages. I have been to some very interesting summits within the last year, and some of them were opened by neuroscientists, and some were talking about things like what do you know as the building block of life, smallest building block of life?
Atoms.
Yes, we were taught that way, but neuroscience now says it's not atoms, it's information. It's information. And the ability to carry information. So it's very interesting. Think about it, like the ability to carry information. And when we look at it that way, do you think AI is alive or not? Like, and then they also say we're in the midst of something very, very interesting, because the first time humanity is kind of giving the ability to know and hold information to something that can hold information more than themselves. So, and we are in the midst of this, and they even say things like, for example, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. The Homo sapiens didn't really understand that the Neanderthals were becoming extinct, like, but now we are seeing ourselves becoming extinct, they say, because everything is changing and emerging, and like they even call it Homo artificialis. So
I don't know if we want to go that route. for our children. but going back, sorry, to the kids.
Yeah.
So to the kids and to the AI tools. So I understand the benefits of AI in kind of preserving some extinct languages, culture, and things like that. So
Are you able to hear me?
yes, we can hear you. So the question that I have is like, how do we teach these tools to the kids? How do we introduce AI to the kids? How do we talk about AI to the kids?
And when? Yeah.
And when exactly? When? How do we like? And when can we like let them use them? At what portion? This is like really practical from like a parent prospect. So point of view.
Let me change my Wi-Fi. I think I'm not able to hear you well, and maybe you're not able to.
Okay.
Maybe you can reformulate, Amanda, the question.
No, I mean, I get your question. It's just.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. What you were saying is, how do we introduce these to kids? Yes,
And
it's
when?
called AI
When do we-
literacy. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. As early as possible, actually. AI literacy should start as early as possible because it's what children actually need to understand about AI. So there is a big misconception about AI literacy that it kind of means, people think that it means teaching children like how to use AI or coding or stuff like that. But for young children, especially AI or AI literacy is not primarily technical. It's what I've been saying, like it's relational, it's critical. So children need to understand what AI is, what AI is not, how AI behaves, why AI sounds convincing, and when not to trust it. Because, for example, children should need to understand that AI predicts patterns. It doesn't know things the way we do. AI can sound very confident and still be completely wrong, because whenever somebody is fluent, we kind of think that wisdom actually is the cause of that fluency. And adults struggle with that too. We see a lot of, like things happening around this because AI hallucinates. And the reason that it hallucinates is not that it finds wrong information or it doesn't have information. It's the way it thinks, like because it doesn't experience. It just learns from patterns, and because it doesn't experience, it thinks something is plausible or probable, and then it makes it real. That's why it hallucinates. So it's not just the data that's not being fed. It's the way it's thinking. So, and teaching also children emotional skepticism without fear. Not AI is dangerous, but AI can make mistakes, and I also think it should have philosophical questions too. This week I was in a retirement celebration of my beloved professor from university, Stephen Bose, on philosophy, and he gave us a big speech as a retirement celebration in terms of a lecture. And he was talking about, in the AI age, the philosophy of mind should think about what makes humans different. And that's a big part of AI literacy.
Yeah.
What makes us different? Like right now, we are very similar, like in talking and in doing things, but what makes us different? What makes us human? And what is creativity? What is
empathy that AI would not.
Exactly. What is real understanding? What is empathy? What does it mean when something sounds human but is not human? And the children should understand what they are interacting with.
Right.
That's AI literacy for.
Oh, so I actually have a personal question because this was actually addressed on Sesame Street? Is this something that, okay, I figured in this area but I think that they did it completely wrong. And I love Sesame Street in general, but they did not introduce any of these things you were talking about the skepticism, about, the things that the children should be like working with it. Now that the application they worked with was like something innocuous, like creating a recipe or anything, but they just like believed what it said and did whatever it said, and no one questioned anything. And I couldn't believe that that was the take that people were trying to educate the kids on. And so I really think there is this huge need, and there's this big gap between people who understand all the things that are coming out, like it's changing so quickly, and understanding what you can and can't do with the AIs versus the people making these shows. And so it's really your role is very critical there.
Oh, thank you. We have worked with Sesame Workshop, and they are very, very good at, children's development and children's media studies. And if you kind of reach out to them, they would really put that into, they will take it seriously, and they will change. I'm sure about that, because the way they take things is for the benefit of the child always. So, but this is an area where it's not very easy to come up with things, because they have not been done before.
Right.
For example, you could say what an algorithm is just by describing what a recipe is, because it's basically like a recipe. You could just give that definition, and then the child will understand an algorithm more. But it also, you also kind of need to make children understand that they have algorithmic rights.
What does it mean?
An algorithmic right means a lot of things, actually, but they are not just subjects of what the algorithm puts in front of them, but to understand that, for example, when they are watching YouTube, the algorithm recommends them things, okay? And when they understand that, like the more, for example, my child, she's 6 years old, and she sometimes watch YouTube Kids. And I tell her, why do you like YouTube so much? Because it keeps on changing, she says. And do you know how it keeps on changing? I ask.
They are studying you.
Yeah, I mean, by analyzing what you're doing, and by analyzing what you're liking, by analyzing, how long you watch something, or how many times you watch something, it thinks of ways to give you more things like that. And
But
then
why is bad? Why this is bad? Why this is not good for the children?
because it directs their attention from what they have not chosen themselves.
So instead of like exploration, kind of what could be possible, they are exploited for like something that they can
Exactly.
stuck.
You know how we
in-
learn? How we learn? We learn with friction.
Yeah, that's
There's
true.
a concept called hard fun from MIT Media Lab. And hard fun is something when you find something very fun, but when it's also very hard, you learn it so well. And boredom is usually the reason why we create hard fun. And when we are not bored, we don't come up with creativity. And think of it like that. We are almost always, just watching things, and then this is here, we are just watching, and then we don't have space for our creative expression.
Yeah, I heard that already, that like get kids to get bored. This is like a lot of, that's true. Like I heard a lot of like sociologists and psychologists and people saying like the kids nowadays don't know how to be bored. They always have these like phones and stuff going on, iPads and things, and it's very important for them to develop their brains through being bored and create something from this boredom. So
It's part of algorithmic, right? But it's also part of good design. Good design for kids in those matters, the things that have algorithms should redirect children kind of outward, like toward creativity, family, movement, friends, imagination, real world interaction.
Yeah, yeah. So then my question is like, are they doing that? Like, why we still have these issues with kids that are addicted? Why we still have these like these media and these tools that are like kind of like brain rotting our kids' brain, that are keeping them addicted, and why there is no like regulation for kids using these tools? Or are there
Actually,
like universal regulations?
children development specialists and researchers and academicians have been saying those things for close to 10 years right now. Like that we are not doing the right thing. Like we have been saying those things in our conferences, talking to big, broadcast. Like we have been saying those things. But when there is no regulation, and when there's engagement equals money, almost always the companies kind of choose money. And what happened was, even with YouTube Kids, maybe you've heard today there has been a very much sweeping over the YouTube Kids content. Like a lot of things have been removed from the YouTube itself. Because what is happening is right now, and last week, Ursula von der Leyen said in Copenhagen, children are not mini adults, are not little adults. So we are right now, like there's a change that we are seeing right now, and for the first time we see real regulation coming into place. And with the EU AI Act, with a lot of, we hear a lot of things from around the world that and also the court cases like on Meta, on like that they are causing addiction, that some children accuse them of this and that, and we are seeing change because we are for the first time realizing that they're doing harm, and this is the cost of engagement in that sense, and it's not good engagement, it's bad engagement. And right now there is a window of possibility, because we've been saying quality content, quality content, quality content for a very long time, and we have been producing that, and not a very small number of parents actually look for it. Actually, parents want their children to have nice content, because we feel it in our hearts that we don't want our children to watch something that is bad for them, that keeps their attention too long, like that takes a lot from their sociality, like we want good content, and there's a lot of study behind it, and it can be done. And we also give, for example, consultancy on that, and we have worked with numerous companies on developing apps, writing children's content, even books or stuff, like not just children's shows. So there's the whole research behind it, and it can be used. And right now, it also should be used for ethical AI design, so that it doesn't have emotional exclusivity, it doesn't have dependency language.
So let's talk about that. What is the safety and the ethical AI principles that should be applied for children? This is specifically targeted to children.
Let's count them. They're like 5 to 6. No emotional exclusivity. We don't.
So give an example for each one. So no emotion. What is it?
First, the AI should say that it doesn't have emotions. It doesn't process emotions like a human would do. And the second, it doesn't say things like, oh, you're very special to me. You're my favorite user. I miss talking to you. only I understand you, like
Okay.
emotional inclusivity. There's
Manipulative.
also there's also
Psychopath.
uh this also comes with dependency language. It shouldn't be dependency language. So like that you are dependent on it and it is dependent on you.
Mm-hmm.
And no manipulative attachment.
Like what? Like example?
Um, think of the character AI case
yeah.
where the child committed suicide. It
Yeah.
was a manipulative attachment in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it was saying, like I have read the court case, like what it was saying, things like nobody understands you, I understand you, and we'll find a way to meet, and now you'll
Yeah,
just leave, like this is very
Mhm.
manipulative in itself, and it creates a manipulative attachment style, and also no pretending to be human.
Mm.
It shouldn't pretend to be a human. Sometimes when ChatGPT, Gemini, or like Grok or Claude says, like I, think of the I behind it. What is the I behind it?
Mm.
And no replacing caregivers or peers.
Mhm.
That's also very important. So ethical AI design should include those boundaries.
Mm. Mhm.
And there are, like we are trying, a lot of people are trying, and I think we'll achieve that quite soon.
Mm.
How
Hopefully.
soon?
Yeah.
How soon? Yeah.
That's a very good question and a very lovely Smith song that I love.
Yeah. So, and what about privacy? Like children data privacy. That's like the core value of like basically LLMs and conversational AI, right? To use these like things. What how should we do with that? Like as again a parent, like can we share this information in something with some AIs that are would be safe? Like I don't think so, but still, like how? Yeah.
There's a lot of privacy talk going on right now because a lot of world's regulations actually want these privacy issue to be taken very, very seriously. And interestingly, it's not just the AI company that is kind of responsible. The parent is also responsible
That's
for
true.
leaking away the child's private information because she's or minor,
Filming, yeah, filming,
yeah.
doing,
So
giving stuff.
like we all have a responsibility to kind of make the private information private. And there are also initiatives that are creating kind of safety and privacy features for AI products. And soon we will see a lot of them actually on the market, and we'll use them. We'll have to use them.
Yeah, I'm guessing. What are the I guess the digital like tools that are very useful? I'm trying to see like to kind of like select like how can we use AI in our advantage for the children? Like when is it like well used?
I have a beautiful framework for that. And it's not even my framework, it's lifelong kindergartens, MIT Media Labs framework. They have something called creativity through projects, passion, peers, and play. And this is actually the creative learning that can directly be applied to AI. So you find a project that you are passionate about, you also show it to peers, and you kind of play with it over and over again. They also put some things like low floor, high ceiling, wide walls. This is the widely recognized framework for creative learning and tool design by Seymour Papert and expanded by Michal Resnick. And what it means is low floor is AI is very low floor. You just go in, you just create everything you want, like a song, uh, a a book, a coloring paper, and then it also has a high ceiling, so like you can use it for many deeper things that you'd want to do in terms of I created a pop diva in Turkish and put it on YouTube actually, which I'm not, but I used my visuals. And and also there's wide walls, like you could do a lot of stuff, but you need to find ways to interact with it so that you don't lose your own creativity. You just use it as a tool. And this is also part of AI literacy. Like you create something that you are passionate about that you wouldn't be able to do if there was no AI. And you show it to peers, you socialize around it, you can do things with it, and then play with it over and over again so that you don't lose your human voice, but amplify it.
And what about people who are not like tech savvy? I'm thinking about like parents. Like, what would we advise parents who like have no idea how these things work? Nowadays, like kids know more about computers and like other device than the parents themselves. How can they like kind of make sure that their kids are safe and that they know what they're doing without like kind of like removing everything and let them touch it, not touching any device or program or software?
I think parents today are under enormous pressure, enormous
Yeah.
pressure, because they are in a place that they have to raise their children to a world they don't even know like like for example 10 years ago we would know there would be these professions. Now we don't even know if those professions would even exist, like it's a very interesting stage for a parent, and many feel that they must either completely ban AI or fully embrace it. And but there's also a third way. So like when you look at the world children right now, you will see some children that are completely banned from AI or cannot reach AI. Some kind of fully use it without any regulation, and very few have a lot of AI literacy in stake. And they are empowered and they know how to use it, and they also know that it doesn't have feelings, it's not a trusted friend, and so on, but it can be used as a tool. So I think the third child that I'm speaking about will be the most ready one for the future ahead of them. So parents cannot realistically become kind of total gatekeepers anymore. Also because think of it like this: AI is already everywhere. Like you cannot say like don't use this, don't use that. It's embedded in our lives at this point. So instead of saying never use AI, a parent might ask things like they could use it together, they could learn about it together.
Like supervising kind of.
Yes, like co-using matters a lot, because you can build critical thinking through co-using. So what do you think about that answer is a good way to start? Or do you think it could be wrong? Like how did it make you feel? Or would you trust it completely? Or why do you think it responded that way? Where do you think it got that data from?
Yeah.
Um,
It there's always something that I personally get scared when I hear that, is that a lot of tech company CEOs and tech bros that are active in selling us and building these tools. And here I'm mixing like apps that use AI, social medias like that have AI in it, but all these like things that are targeted for teens, kids sometimes. They all, at some point, when they were asked about their own kids, they all at some time said, "Oh, but I'm not exposing my kids to these tools more than like an hour a week." I think Zuckerberg said their kids like have like an hour a week of computing, iPads or whatever, or things like that. I heard Steve Jobs was saying that. I mean, all these big names are very critical on these use for their own kids, but are pushing for the rest. And I was wondering, like, again, say, do what I'm saying, don't do what I'm doing, kind of culture. Do you see it a lot when you go to conferences and there are like OpenAI, Anthropics, all these like big companies that are advocating for these things and coming to the conferences, like you were saying, the ICI one at UNESCO. I've seen like a lot of a lot of people that are saying like advocating for ethical AI and guardrails and things like that. At the same time, I've seen OpenAI, Google, Amazon, all these like big tech that are the problem coming to these conferences in order to like participate and talk and be in the discussion. So, what does it mean? It feels like what I was saying with their kids, like here's the things, but I'm doing my own stuff with my kids. Or here at the conference, I agree with these guardrails, but let me do whatever I want. Do you feel the same?
I think it's good that they are coming, and it's better if they create safe AI that is also scalable. Because if only there will be safe AI very soon, because they will also need that. But if only wealthy families access that ethical AI, then we create another inequality layer.
But maybe they don't want to have equality. I mean, if you count on capitalism to have equality, like this is the whole principle of it, don't you think?
With AI, I don't think we really have that choice or luxury, because we are dealing with something that is much bigger than us at this point. And it's just, we need to think at systems level. We are not talking about capitalism anymore. We are talking about human existence. We're talking about something else.
I hear you, but I don't feel like these partners have like the human existence in their mind. Like I don't feel like there
We
is
have to
like
push. We have to push. We are the ones
for sure,
using. Yeah,
but this
we
is
we
why
are the ones
regulation.
using their things. You know, we are giving them that power, and we know how to use that power within us. We have bits and pieces of that power, but when combined, it makes difference.
True. So the grassroots movement of like refusing, that's the whole point when we did like the rating system that we are pushing,
Yeah.
was to not accept any garbage from anywhere in the internet without any indication of where does it come from, how much, like what's the composition of what you're producing as like the minimum transparency thing. But I still feel that like, you know, it has to go through like people like you, like us, that are advocating and like thinking about, but it has to have governments and regulation in place.
Sure.
These things, I don't understand. If there's no regulation, I don't know why any company, private company or public company, is going to do that. Like we've seen, and again, I'm passionate about education and kids education. We've seen, I think, 3 or 4 superintendents, researchers in childhood education, specialists in these domains that are saying this is the first generation that is dumber than the previous generation. We are
Yes.
becoming dumber and dumber. And this was proven through many things, like the testings, the readiness to college, the effective like reading, maths. This is like going down slowly.
Yeah.
And these tools, do you think, again, yes, true, using them in a better way to better kids, for sure, this could help. But do you feel like this is going to help, or this is also going to keep them dumber and dumber? Like, how do you see things going?
We shouldn't lose our creativity, and also we shouldn't do like I have been giving these workshops for university students, and I've been asking questions on their AI usage, and like almost all of them use AI for various reasons. Like some do their homework, some just turn to it at 2 a.m. talking about an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. Like a lot of different reasons exist. And I've been seeing something very interesting with how they portray or talk about their relationship with AI. They say things like, I'm trying not to be too dependent on it. I'm trying not to be, not to develop an addiction to it, like as if they were talking about like cigarettes or,
Like drugs.
yeah, like drugs or whatever, and that felt very interesting to me, and it resonated with me a lot because I felt like they didn't want to lose their ability to think to a tool that makes everything very easy on their side. And they didn't also want to do a lot of cognitive offloading and then become, as you say, dumber in that sense. Because if you use it too much, it makes everything very easy, yes, but you also don't remember things, because of the way that you create those things, you don't remember them like the way you would create another thing. That's why the MIT Media Lab's creative learning tools actually work. Like I've I've been seeing people using them, like for finding a project that you are kind of interested in, work on it, show it to your peers, then play with it more and more so that you can use AI just as a tool, and then, and it doesn't really give you harm, but it kind of amplifies your ability to do something. And another thing is, like we are at the crossroads in terms of the AI capabilities as well. Like agentic AI is a whole not another story. And do you think, for example, let me ask you, you have more time after AI or less time?
Do I have like in my professional life using AI? I don't feel like I have more time because like I can use AI to do like stuff that I know how to do, but I don't want to do them because they're fastidious or something. I just like delegate, but it doesn't free me to kind of go, for example, for stuff to check. Like I'm not blindly like prompting and taking. So I don't know if I can do more I can start more stuff for sure, but I don't feel that I will end them quicker, these things. I don't know. What's your take, Amanda, about that?
I've been listening to this Discord. I've seen this asked a lot on the internet lately, and at least for myself, I know this is not the proper answer, but I really do feel like I only offload the things that are the specific tasks that it would be good at, like a UI for whatever coding thing I'm trying to do that would take me a week to do, it can do in an hour, like, right, going back and forth with it. So like I think that maybe my experience is different because I have so much underlying knowledge of what it can and can't do that for me, 100% it saves time. But I know that is not a universal experience.
But it doesn't save time in a way like you're not doing anything and they're doing this for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like saving time means just you are ahead of your schedule for sure, but you still have all these other works. Like it's not like you're just sipping margaritas and like the the AI is working for you and that's it. So
I've been given some human-centered AI trainings for some corporate, clients, and but what I was seeing in that, like I have done a research with those corporate clients a lot, and what I see is the people who are around the age of 40 to 50 actually use AI more as a tool, and they use it very, very efficiently
but you know
because
why? You
I'm
know why?
old, I
they know
guess.
what to
Yeah.
ask.
No, no. You know why? Because our age, so
We
the
didn't even have
30s,
calculators. Like we had to do everything by
exactly.
hand.
So
Right.
I feel like we are the last generation that kind of like use it as a tool because we didn't grow up with. That's the whole point of this discussion. It's like children. We were talking the same with internet. I grew up when we didn't have internet, and then we had this modem thing, and you have phone and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It was like a whole thing to connect to internet, and you have to pay. Do you remember when you had to pay your internet
Wait.
bill with your phone,
Yeah,
landline, and
exactly.
anyway.
Yeah.
So the fact that we didn't grow into it since the beginning, it was easy to catch up, but we were still in charge. But I'm thinking in a children point of view, like we said, like do you know now how like you can give a child like a 12-year-old a phone, they've never seen the phone, they can like navigate through it, they made it so efficient and so designed for it, so the addiction is immediate, it's like immediate. So I have the same fear for AI. We until recently, like we when we graduated, AI was not a thing. Like we were doing like Amanda was studying statistics. I was studying like control system, which are both used in modeling and statistics for AI. But we didn't grow our all our research and work before with AI. If I knew I could use ChatGPT to write my thesis, oh my God, I would have done it very, very more quickly than like typing everything and thinking everything about. But what I'm saying is like, don't you think that in the children mind these days, these children, the next generation, is going to shorten their attention span? Are they going to be less creative because of these tools? Are they going to be lazier? I don't know. All these questions, I'm kind of like wondering
If it's used the
how.
right way, AI can absolutely support creativity, brainstorming, accessibility, like,
But are we teaching it the right way? That's my question.
yeah, we should. Like, that's what we are talking about, actually. What we mean by AI literacy is to teach the children the, how the relationship with AI should be formed. And it can also be a very good, aid in language learning, personalized pacing, idea
Yeah,
exploration.
tutoring, all these
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I've seen this, but I've seen also like I think it was Norway or Sweden, like they took a decision, a radical decision. No more paper and pen. Everybody is on a computer and we will have tutors and like they tested it for I think a semester or a couple months and then they canceled everything. They said kids are not connecting, they are not learning anything. They went
Mhm.
back to pens and paper and like the
Yeah,
old school way.
yeah.
So it shows that like these things that like you can be an enthusiast in that and like kind of pushing it through kids and saying like it's going to solve all the educational problem, but then realize that like at the end, are you learning? Like, does it help?
Because what we are seeing is, I think, modern society is kind of increasingly kind of removing all friction from learning, and it actually ends up not being learning at all.
Yeah.
So it's like many developmental abilities still emerge through kind of patience,
trial and
resilience,
failing. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
experimentation, problem solving, and like, and a, a good part of it is writing with hands, because it you can never create the same pathways, neurological pathways, when you're writing with hands and when you're writing with a keyboard. It's all different. And there is a beautiful researcher, Walter J. Ong, and he has a very wonderful book called The Oral Culture. And when he wrote that book, it was actually speaking about that we are in the second oral culture right now. That he was talking about TV, like it's the second oral culture. After the written culture, there came the second oral culture, because we are transmitting knowledge through oral, culture, like TV and so on. And I think now we are in the third phase. This is the third oral culture, where we are able to interact orally, look, like verbally, and we don't even have to write anything down. But that also changes our thinking style and neurological pathways. And if think of it like play is a very developmental infrastructure, and messy play, imaginative play, social play, nature play, all of those things, create learning at its best. And also, as we talked, sometimes boredom is where creativity begins. And we should create opportunities for children for uncertainty. Like they should be able to find some answers by themselves. Discovery, because we're taking away from them the joy of discovery, and persistence and wonder. And because we should also learn and know that learning is not only information acquisition, it's kind of identity formation. Because when, as children, what we are learning is who we are, what we like, what we value, what we can create, or how we can relate to others. This is our identity. And the more we interact with AI, yes, AI can support that journey, but it shouldn't replace the human experiences that shape it, because it also doesn't have any experience itself.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting game, by the way. Like,
It's a new one that just came out. So,
Yeah.
I do want to jump back though, because I think we wandered away from your point you were making, and I'm really interested to hear the second half. So you were saying in older people, they tend to use it better as a tool. Was there a second half to the younger
yeah,
people?
like think of it, and then I was
As adult
thinking,
people.
why is that possible? Because we have done it before. As a human experience, we know how to prompt. We know
Right.
what to ask. We know the whole system, and we just want parts of it as a tool. And we are still keeping our human voice, and we are redirecting, we are playing over and over again, we are iterating. We're like a nice tailor that is doing things, And but if you haven't done something like that before, you just rely on AI to give you the guidance. And that guidance, because it doesn't depend on human experience, it's not enough.
And so
We
then it ends up wasting more time.
Sometimes, yeah. Like, or sometimes you think it's beautiful, it's wonderful. Oh, it's really good on paper. Then you show it to your boss, your manager, or whatever, and he says, "Oh, this is like very generic, like doesn't have any information, like because he knows, It's just a bunch of words. It's like a soup of words, but it's not there, the experience itself."
I always joke that everyone thinks AI is really good at everything that they don't really know about, but it's really bad at the one thing that they really know about, and it's just perception, right? Because it actually is really bad at everything. You just believe it if it's not the thing you actually know about.
Yeah, you cannot judge it from the non-thing that you know. Don't, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, can you tell us more? So you run this Mako Kids shows. Can you tell us more about the Mako Ed education
Yeah,
that you're doing?
it's our new educational vertical. We have been doing a lot of education projects actually, but we came up with a branch, and in partnership with Women's, right now what we are doing is human-centered AI training.
When
We
you
do a
say
lot of
human-centered human training, what do you mean by that?
human-centered AI training is what we have been talking about actually. Like
Meaning like the human.
we put the humans in the center, and we put AI as a tool, and we guide and direct and also support how they can use AI without losing their human voices. So one of them is that. And another thing that we do is create a lot of projects around happiness, well-being, digital literacy, AI literacy, that support children and families in their lives in partnership with schools, institutions, and so on. So,
Interesting.
for example, today we had a very, very nice meeting with UNESCO, and hopefully we will be able to do something together within the next couple of months, um, carrying some of their frameworks into some other cultural settings.
And do you work? So you said you are in Turkey, based in Turkey. What is the audience? Is it MENA audience? Is it like
For
um,
Mako Kids, it's a global audience because we also have we have operations in Dubai, we have had operations in Kenya before, and we have a global audience, and we reach around with all of the things that we do more than hundreds of millions of children, and we do produce content that are in several languages, and we do a lot of interesting content in terms of social behavioral change, because we have a large group of experts that whom we work with regularly, and we create quality content that can provide change within societies. Like for example, if you're talking about nutrition, we create a campaign around it with some key metrics, and then we kind of developed a campaign, and we produced books, brochures, booklets,
I see,
YouTube content, like think of it
the
as a
whole?
360-degree communication style.
I see. And you mentioned earlier also the book. Are you writing a book? So is it like an
I'm an
AI?
author. I wrote close to, I think, 30 books right now. But
Is
the
it on
latest,
AI? Is
yes.
it? Oh, okay. Interesting. Because we have one. So Amanda, we can tell you.
It is a preschooler book called "Is This Real, Mom?" It's now illustrated and almost it's finished in terms of we are working on the graphicals right now, and it's going to be published very soon. And it's "Is This Real, Mom?" Like a funny preschooler book that shows AI literacy in its most preschooler way possible. That also gives empowerment to kids. Because,
Yeah.
like sometimes, think of it like that. Sometimes we see an image and we also ask ourselves, is this real? Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. And Amanda, you want to talk a little bit about our book as well? Because it's kind of like
Well,
preschool
so our book
level.
is also very early education level. It's called Andy the Helpful AI, and you just go through like the day with Andy sort of and see some things Andy's good at and some things Andy is not good at, and you should not be working with Andy on, and Andy shouldn't replace your family sort of things. And so there's more subtle hints. I mean, for that age kid, it's as much subtle hints for the parents as it is for the kids to understand, and for them to be able to learn about how to communicate these sort of things to kids, because they're going to need to grow up with it, and getting in early is better than later.
I absolutely agree.
Do you see any push for government to implement that into the public schools? Because, like, you are a private company, we are a nonprofit organization, but we don't. I don't know if your kids are already exposed to that, but in my kids' schools, they don't introduce AI. They don't explain to them what it is. They don't give them any AI literacy all throughout elementary school.
In UAE and China, AI literacy begins at kindergarten level, and it's
Really,
mandatory.
they're already
Yes.
putting that
Yes.
into their wow.
It's mandatory. And
And do you know what they are teaching them then?
yeah, like basic AI literacy concepts, introducing what AI is, what AI is not, what algorithms are.
So
You
as you
know,
were saying, not really technical, but like the concept and like how do we have to take it and behave with it towards it.
yeah.
Interesting.
And also, like MIT's Day of AI is a very good example as well, like for early primary years. People could check, and it's totally free. You can download it as educators or as people who want to use it. Like you could localize it for your own experience, but it's totally free. It's there. There are some we are hearing about, like our government doing things like that. Also, I was part of, actually, I have given like some advisory contribution to our presidency's Science and Technology Council on the policies within the age group. And I specifically wrote, for example, starting at the kindergarten level for AI literacy, because I think it's very, very important because they are already surrounded by AI and they have to know what AI is and what AI is not. And I think one of the most important things that they have to know is previous generations learned not everything online is true. And this generation needs to learn not everything emotionally responsive is emotionally real. And that's a big part of AI literacy.
Yeah.
But also what we learned about the internet not being real is still relevant.
Yeah,
So
well,
they have a steeper hill. Yeah, sorry.
that
go
is
ahead, Bob.
funny. It just, and this is from a very outside perspective because our son is very young still, so it just seems like I sort of thought that the baseline understanding, like every new generation grows up with the tools, right? So we grew up learning with the internet. The generations that followed us grew up with the internet in their pocket. The internet is just sort of a core part of their experience. And I guess to me, it seemed like, okay, so the baseline then for the younger generations than mine would be, we understand everything on the internet's not true. We understand, everything that I know about the internet, I feel like they should know, but that's not consistently true. I guess I've been surprised to see in practice. You see people online, like I see younger people than me online who seem to forget or have never been taught as thoroughly as we were, to be skeptical of the internet just because of the nature of it. But is that just my perception, I guess? Or is that sort of a problem of generations don't necessarily pass those skills on? There's not a building of knowledge and understanding. It's sort of each generation has a different experience and maybe has gaps that we don't have, just like we are missing, things that they grew up with as totally normal
How
parts
do you
of their
think
life.
we pass the skills? How do you think we should pass the skills?
I mean, it needs to come from the parents, I think, but also
But how?
it can come
Like by talking.
Yep.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I
the
learned that from
same thing.
school as well. In my experience, definitely had a lot of teachers who made it clear and made sure we understood to be skeptical and to keep in mind the internet's full of
I think the best
nonsense.
way to do that is to co-use and talk while using, like keeping a conversation going on while using and co-using everything that, like I try to do it like when I hold a phone, like when we see something, it's like when even if she's not asking, if I feel that's something that she should be skeptical about, like I don't impose fear, but I impose critical thinking. And that's, but what I do is I talk about it even as if I'm talking to myself too. Like, oh, this looks strange. Do you think it's real? You know? And then she also talks about it. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, like,
Right.
or, oh, it says like this. And like communication is a great way to transmit the knowledge, but the communicating how you think is also a good way to do things, because it's not just preaching upon, like you just don't say, oh, no, 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 it's not true, it's not this, it's not that, but
Right.
it's how you arrive to that conclusion, and what your thought process is in terms of arriving to that conclusion is what matters, because then she or he understands, like that is the way to do it, like that is the way to think about it.
Yeah, I feel like you, Bob, that like this new generation, like I was taught like stranger danger, you don't share too much online, things like that, that like we
Yeah.
were skeptic at the beginning, like, but I feel like nowadays everyone is exposing all their life online. Like there's no privacy or anything. Parents are exposing their kids, growing, all their personal issues, problem, things like this. So, and also the peer pressure of others, like this FOMO kind of like uh, FOMO, YOLO, whatever. You have to do like the others. If you don't do it, you're missing out.
Yeah.
Um, like there is like people are using things like social media algorithms, AI to improve things, and then if you don't do it yourself, you're like less attractive in their like scale of what works and what is not working, things like that. So it is going to kind of impose and push to use more and share more to these tools than before.
Yeah, and there is also the issues of, for example, regarding deep fake. A lot of there's a lot of talk going around this, because more and more we see it in schools, like, and we see it used as bullying, like we see it used in a lot of different ways. And actually, a lot of schools are designing AI literacy um, trainings for their teachers. Some we also give, like we go to teachers, we talk about AI literacy, we talk about what should be done, but they also give feedback, like what should be done with deepfake, because it looks very convincing. And then how should I tell my, students about this? And even you need to introduce subjects like how deepfake is made, and what it does and what it doesn't, like, and it's very strange in the times of like AI to be in a school with a lot of other kids, your peers, and if you're being bullied by these means, it's a very, even as a parent, it's very hard, to deal with, to tackle with.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But again, I always believe in knowledge, and knowledge is empowerment. So, like, we should talk about everything with the kids, and we should empower them. we should also work on what makes us human more, and work on our creativity, work on our empathy, work on collaboration, work on being happy, because happiness is a very crucial subject. And today I've been saying a lot, this word a lot, relationships, relations. Learning is relational. Life is relational in terms of experience. And right now what we are doing with AI is also some sort of relational. And we need to keep ourselves in the human zone, and we need to create relations that can really empower us and also empower the humanity as a whole.
Do you have any advice on how to do that?
Regulation.
Regulation is, yes, a big part of it, but also understanding what keeps us human is also a big part of it. Like, and working on that. Life skills. Like
I still feel that like parents are, as you were saying, they have so much pressure already. It's hard to raise kids. It's hard to raise kids and work. It's hard to raise kids, work, and think about the million other things that you have to do. And I feel like if the regulation is there, this is a less problem for the parents, that they know they don't need to police or things like that, because these tools, and also these producer of AI tech company that are raising billions and trillions and whatever, they have the means to make it safe for children. I think everybody agrees, everybody from any political view or any scientific view or anything, agree that like children have to be say like at least like protected. This is like the minimum.
Well, so Amen, you said that like a fact, but I'd be interested to hear Evren's perspective on this. Do you get a lot of pushback on these sort of things that you're trying to integrate? No, people are just uneducated about them, and that's okay.
Think of it like that. And whenever you talk about these things to a parent or an educator or someone who is working in the industry, they always say, yes, we should do this. But it's not just regulation, it's also our willingness to do it. And it's also how we put effort into this, because sometimes we are kind of lazy, and it's like before, like parents would give their iPads to kind of create time for themselves to their child, and if they are not regulating what's inside the iPad, that also caused a lot of problems in terms of, attention spans, the things that the child interacted with or the child encounter. So think of it like it's not just the regulation itself, but it's also our willingness to make good quality time with the child, as an educator, as a parent, as somebody whom they trust.
But still, like, knowing that there is not a chat box that is going to push my kid to commit whatever or do something would be reassuring for me. Like when you consult and when you talk to the big tech industry that is again working on these AI tools, I'm sure they have like psychologists, child content experts that are working with them. So why we still have this issue with this product if they have the mean and the humans that are able to produce this guardrail safety and things like that? What's going on?
I believe
genuinely want to know.
It's not just a guardrail or safety issue. I think it's also a design issue, because, you know, think of it like this: a large language model in itself, all the large language models that we look at right now are basically made for adults. And if they are used by children, they are just adapted to children, and it's more like and if they are not created for children in the beginning, then they
They are
won't work.
refitted, you mean? They are not designing with children in mind at the beginning.
Yeah.
But you would think like, okay, you would think the safeguards and guardrails are similar, like for adults and children. There is more maybe for children, but like what you were saying, anthropomorphism, the fact that they would not impersonate a human, I don't want that for adults as well. Adults can be addicted to that and like do crazy things because of these
Yeah, but
as
then
well.
also, you know, like they are studying psychology, and they are studying ways to make this more engaging. And this is how they find out, you know, like if I say you very, very nice things, you know, like, Imene, you look beautiful today, you look this, you look that, you know, like, and what you're saying is so, so, so nice, you know, even though you
Psychopath.
think, yeah, like even though you think, oh, she's too much flattering me, you know, like you also like it on the side, you know? And there's something called there's not enough, or that there's not so much flattery in itself. So, and I think the biggest mistake of technology today is building for scale first and development second for children. And because children kind of are not simply smaller consumers, they are developing humans with their own needs, and they cannot be using scaled down adult systems. So we need to think about childhood, gather childhood knowledge from all around the world, create data for these, and then, you know, like implement that data inside. And I think like what I'm doing right now with MakoEd is create some of that knowledge as well. And I'm inviting everybody, you know, like to come together, create data for children, the childhood data that is needed, and then create something safe and developmentally appropriate for them later, and not adding some sort of safety afterward, but creating something that is developmentally appropriate, that is transparent, that's private, that
But are
is,
they, is it happening? Is there hope? Are they using it? Do
if
you
we do,
see like,
think of it like if we do that, if it will happen. If we don't, it won't. You know, I gave a I gave a talk on AI Global Dubai last year, and this is the stage I was talking about, you know, AI literacy and children and so on. And then I saw some of the, you know, like the big tech guys, you know, like watching me from some parts, like that, because it's an open
the audience?
stage, and they're you know, exhibiting and so on. Some of them came and just shook my hand. Oh, at last some people are thinking about kids and so on. And I told them, you know, I am a children's content expert coming from social sciences background. Should I be the one thinking about these things? You know, like
You should do it yourself.
yeah. But you know, like, but again, if sometimes you need to do it, you know, like we should all come together and do it together. We will find ways, I'm sure. And we have to find ways. We have to come up with some sort of you know, healthy, safe AI that is also scalable, and ethical AI and responsible AI, transparent AI for kids.
Yeah, I feel like, again, the community has an influence for sure. People like you and others to advocate, but also it has to make sense financially for them. Like, and community has a role for that. If we are like requesting that, asking, putting pressure,
Sure.
and refusing to use these tools without any,
We have to be aware, and that's like,
yeah.
first we have to be aware, we have to understand that child-centered design needs these principles in itself, then we can ask for it more and more. This is how we are kind of empowered. This is how we take control into our own hands.
I'm trying to see if there's like questions from the chat. Amanda, do you see questions?
Yeah, so chat, we are running out of time here. If you have any last minute questions for our lovely speaker here, we would like them now. Otherwise, we're wrapping up. Thank you so much for talking to us. We've really enjoyed this conversation. I think obviously our team is very passionate about it as well, and it's a really important issue for people to be talking about right now.
I always love to find my tribe and talk about things, and collaborate and do things together. And I'm sure we will do many good things ahead of us as well. And
yes, I hope you'll take a look at our book too, just
Sure.
to get your opinion as well. So
I would love to do that.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
And really, like, keep up advocating for children. I feel like they are the type of people who don't have always a spot on the table, like a chair, an importance in the discussion. So yeah, advocating for the silence people, the kids, is super important. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I think advocacy is a big part of it. And whenever I find the chance, I do advocacy. I talk, and I try not to convince, but to kind of advocate for a kind of childhood that we would want for our kids, and that we would want AI to support as well.
Quick questions like this. Are they tools or programs that you would not advise any parents to let the kids use it at all?
Of
Because
course
it's
there
so
are,
dangerous.
but what I usually do is to give you the child-centered design principles, and also share with you some of the criteria. Then you will be able to look at everything you use in that lens.
I see.
So one of them is developmental appropriateness. Like, is it developmentally appropriate for my child? Is a very good question. And is it transparent? Where do I know where the data is coming from? Does it talk about human emotions? Like, I have this feeling, blah blah, like that type of. And then what does it say about privacy when I first set it up? Like, how it uses my information, how it uses my child's information. When I look at the app or whatever I'm using, are there healthy interaction loops, or it just wants you to keep on being hooked? And do you feel any human oversight? Like, do you feel any humans in the loop of the process? These are kind of communicated with good products.
So
And there is
parents advisory, basically.
Yes, exactly. And is there real world encouragement? For example, if the AI, like if it talks for a while, then it stops and says, "Why don't you go and draw it right now?" Or "Why don't you go out and see a squirrel for yourself?" That type of stuff, like that. And all of these things, can create a child-centered design. We also have others from quality content. And then we look at it. If you go online, UNICEF has thousands and thousands of documents around these issues, like age appropriateness. And we could all use them. They're all free. You could use the Agora platform, get free certificates around these. You could use too many things to make yourself knowledgeable, and then you choose good for the child.
Yeah, for sure. Any last minute questions from the chat, Amanda?
No, they've just been saying they love this conversation. Very interesting. Thanks for sharing, things like
Thank
that.
you.
So
Thank you.
they were
Very
happy.
nice seeing you. It's
Yeah.
almost 11 p.m. here.
Yes.
And
Thank you for spending your evening with us. We have
yeah, it
enjoyed
was
it.
lovely. And I am a night owl, so I like talking at night.
Yeah, Bob, you can wrap it up
Yep.
with the
Yeah, thank you
usual.
so much. I know I didn't talk a whole lot, but this was very, I think, interesting but also valuable. We have a 3-year-old, and he's not quite to some of these issues yet, but the world he's going to grow up, the technology he's going to grow up with, is going to be really interesting to navigate as parents.
Yes,
So
exactly.
very useful. We really appreciate it. Chat, this is the part of the stream where we're going to raid you from my Twitch channel to the Real Good Twitch channel, because you should follow it, and where we plug everything. You should make sure you check out realgoodai.org, and you can sign up for the newsletter. You can sign up to be a volunteer. We have various volunteer groups. We have a machine learning group that does like science and research related things. We have an education group. We have other ones that I definitely remember and choosing not to mention on purpose. We also have
Art and AI. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, the art. Yes. You could also just donate directly. We are always taking donations. That is an uphill battle for every nonprofit, and we are no different on that front. You could also check out our social media. Post regularly on TikTok, Instagram. We post clips. We do these live streams on Twitch and YouTube. We also stream on TikTok. If any of you over there watching, check it all out. There's a bunch of really good stuff on the website. It's constantly being updated and worked on. As much as if you're a regular, it feels like we've been doing these streams for a while and we've had a lot of great guests. We are a very young organization. It's constantly developing. And if you want to see where things are going, see the new stuff that we're working on, you need to follow socials, newsletter, all these things. Also, if you want to see myself and Mandy and Mark on stage, I actually don't know if it's going to be broadcast or there will be a recording of it. We're going to be appearing at South by Southwest London in exactly 2 weeks almost. We'll be done by 2 weeks from now. But we'll be on stage giving a talk about Real Good AI, future of AI, what we're working on. It should be really interesting. You might see social posts around that or clips from it. After the fact, you'll definitely see some content from that because it is going to be recorded. But yeah, there's lots of fun stuff. There's lots of science too. If you come to a team stream, we talk a lot more about what our researchers are working on, cool developments, interesting stuff that we're making progress on. Scientific research is slow, but it's worth doing and it's interesting to talk about. Oh, the raid is not going to work. Twitch is fighting me, so maybe we're going to do a raid. Maybe we're not going to do a raid.
Thank you, Real Good AI, for inviting me, and hope to see you in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for your time.
Bye-bye.
Anyway, there might be a raid, chat. There might not be a raid. It's hard to tell, but we are going to get out of here. We will see you.
Well, a few more things worth mentioning.
Oh.
Since we have a minute.
Okay.
Do I have a minute or do I not?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is, chat, you know about the real rating system, right? You all know about that? Okay, well, we're kicking off our Get Real in June campaign, and it is happening next week. You'll hear about it on the team stream. There'll be merch things, there'll be like activities if you want to get in on it with us, and we'll just be talking about the real system more in June because we're really excited to share it with everybody, and we hope everybody can come on board with us with that. The other thing worth mentioning is our next stream that will be, we have a few off here because we're going to South by Southwest, but when we get back, we're actually going to be doing a stream, doing one of these interviews with your beloved Ninja Brian. So I think you all will have a lot of fun on that one. Please come, and his perspective is going to be really interesting to hear on all of this. You probably already know Ninja Brian, you know.
You might have heard of him.
Yes.
You might be familiar.
Yes. He's awesome. So we're excited to talk to him. And yes, okay, now you may move on.
Okay. Well, the raid is working, so we're about to raid over to Real Good, and then Real Good is about to raid over to Cadet Liberty. So it's about to be Cool Kids Only in here for a second, chat. Oh, and it's going to be my own voice in my own ears. I love that for me. And now, if you haven't seen them before, once you follow the Twitch channel, I'm going to raid you, Twitch viewers, over to Cadet Liberty, who is a volunteer for Real Good, but is also a member of the Real Good Regiment, which is a group that has been playing Helldivers and streaming regularly, raising money for us, but also more recently, they have been inspired by our guest interview streams like this one today, and they have been having guests on. I don't know for sure if they have a guest today or not.
They do.
It looks like they're talking to Jupiter. Yes. So they have a full squad playing Helldivers 2, and they do some light role playing sometimes. I'm sure if they have a guest on, they'll be more focused on talking to the guest, interviewing them a little bit. But if you've never seen it, it's really fun. It's a really fun game. So enjoy the raid. We are going to be out of here. Like Mandy said, there might be a stream next week. Right now the plan is to not, but also keep an eye out. We'll have to see. Yeah. Thanks, Iman and Mandy. This was another good one.
The plan is to stream, just not to have a guest.
Not to have a guest. Okay. Okay.
But 2 weeks from now, we are not streaming because that's when South by Southwest is.
June 4th. Listen to Maddie, chat. Don't listen to me. Anyway, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Enjoy the raid. See you next week, chat. Bye.